Hi guys, today I'm going to be filming my first trimester recap video for you guys. But if you are new to my channel, hello. I hope that you would stick around and subscribe and like this video if you do like this type of content. I have been so obsessed with watching these types of videos. I've definitely gone down the rabbit hole of pregnancy YouTube and pregnancy talk. And so I thought I would film one myself and talk a little bit about how I've been feeling, how I was feeling, my cravings, my aversions, some things that I just did not expect, and of course just sharing some fun little details that happened my first few weeks. But I did write down like a whole list, week by week, how I've been feeling or how I was feeling, but also I wrote it down because I just have pregnancy brain. That is definitely one of my symptoms. I sometimes get like word rambly and things just come out, things just don't make sense. So if that's kind of like the theme that you've noticed with some of the things that I've said in this video already, that is why. I mentioned in my last video that we are expecting in January, and I found out that I was pregnant in May. I found out I was pregnant at around 5 weeks. That's when I actually took a test. I took it when I was about 6 days like past my period where I had missed it. I will say like around week 4, before I even took a pregnancy test, I was definitely feeling some symptoms of pregnancy. One of those symptoms being I was just feeling a little bit of bloating more than I normally would feel like before I got my period, and then lots of like soreness and tenderness for the girls. I know this is a little bit of TMI, but like that was definitely a big one for me, like within like the first, few weeks of being pregnant. Around like week 4, at week 5, when I actually had found out that I was pregnant, I was so hungry. At least every 2 hours I had to eat or snack on something, which was so weird. And it wasn't like cravings that I had, but it was just like I had to eat a granola bar if I was driving and it was longer than 30 minutes. I have down in my notes at week 7, I started to feel very hungry when I first woke up. I thought I was going to be one of those like pregnant women that didn't feel nauseous because I didn't feel immediately nauseous when I first took a test, but by week 7 I was so sick, especially if I didn't eat in the morning. Oh my gosh, it was really bad. And it wasn't even the type of nausea that would lead to vomiting because I didn't throw up once. Actually, it was weird. I would try to pull the trigger and make myself, but for some reason nothing would ever come out. But I just remember waking up so hungry, and if I didn't eat, I'd get so sick and it would just ruin my entire day. This is kind of like when my like pregnancy aversions and cravings really started to kick in around week 7. And I feel like just my symptoms in general, this is when I went to the doctor and they confirmed the pregnancy, and we got to hear the baby's heartbeat. But I started feeling so sick to where I couldn't eat a lot of greasy foods or like just foods cooked with oil or that were fried. So a lot of the time I had toast for breakfast. I had white rice, butter with bread. Cereal was like a big thing that I would eat. I liked anything that was like very just neutral and didn't have a lot of flavor to it, lots of spices. That was really interesting because I'm definitely like a foodie and I do enjoy eating, but this was one of the times where I was like, I can't eat anything. From week 7 to week 8 is when my symptoms were really, really, really bad. So like my sense of smell really peaked at this point. And so whenever Moni would make his dinners, make his meals, I would get so sick from the smell, especially when he would make meat or like whenever he was like cooking ground beef or something. I would get so sick just from the smell. It just smelled very bloody to me. I could not stand that at all. So a lot of the times when he was cooking, I would lock myself in the bedroom and I would just like wait till he was done because I could not stand the smell at all. Yeah, like around week 8, I wrote down that my prenatals would give me really bad heartburn and they would also make me feel really sick. Like a lot of prenatals, mine had fish oil in them, I believe, which is really good for you when you're pregnant, but I could taste it. Like I could actually taste the fishiness in my prenatals and it made me feel really sick and it gave me such bad heartburn. So I decided to take my prenatals before bed in case I got nauseous, in case I got sick. Like at least it was happening in the middle of the night, I could sleep through it. I wrote that for week 8. My nausea was getting better, but my food aversions were so bad. And I'll talk a little bit about like the aversions that I had in detail later in this video. But like, it was such a disappointment not being able to like reach for the things that I would normally eat. So I have at week 8, I pretty much didn't cook at all this month or this week. I looked back at my DoorDash orders. I ordered DoorDash twice this week, and if you know me, I am definitely I wouldn't say I'm like the healthiest person per se, but I think about what I put in my body. Very abnormal for me to order in food twice in a week. So this was the week where I think I kind of went a little AWOL, and I accepted the fact that pregnancy was just gonna make me a different person. And yeah, I pretty much ordered in food and didn't cook anything. I ate out a lot. I remember I ordered pizza one day just randomly because I was craving it. I ordered Chick-fil-A, which I don't even eat meat. I ordered Chick-fil-A because I really wanted a milkshake and I wanted their mac and cheese. So this week was a really bad week for me. It was so weird because I noticed that my body didn't want the foods that it normally ate, but it really wanted like bad, unhealthy, just gross food. And I wasn't even working out at the time either. So there was a part of me that was kind of worried. I was like, is the baby getting the nutrients that it needed? But I've heard from a lot of women that the first trimester is definitely one of those times in your pregnancy where you could just, accept the fact that, you're not going to be working out as much. You're not going to be eating as many vegetables, but it's going to be okay. It's just for a few months. And then you kind of get back together, get back to like your normal routine in your second trimester, which I can attest to. That is true. Definitely fatigue is when it was at its peak here as well. Week 8 through, I want to say, week 10, I would wake up, eat, and then I would immediately fall back asleep. So I also have that I was really out of breath. I thought it was because, I have asthma, and I just thought, oh, this is my asthma flaring up. Like, I'll just take my inhaler and hopefully I'll feel better. But no, it was like I had to pause within like, I don't know, an actual sentence and take a breath and then finish my thought essentially. I heard that it's very common because of the way the baby's pushing up against your lungs, which didn't make sense to me, but I guess it's a thing. So I don't even want to know what it's going to be like later in my pregnancy when the baby is like huge and my lungs are like pushed up to here. And then towards the end of my first trimester, week 10 through 12, this was like me entering back into who I was, who I felt before this baby. And I was so thrilled to finally be just, back to myself. I wasn't fully myself because I still experienced so much nausea, and I was basically bedridden for, I want to say like 3 to 4 weeks of the first trimester. But I did start feeling like myself again. This was nice because my clothes still fit, so I could still kind of like hide it. I took a lot less naps. I started doing exercises. I wrote this down, that I started doing like walks, and that was definitely a fear of mine, that exercising was going to hurt the baby. I mean, they tell you that you can do all of the activities that you did prior to getting pregnant and it wouldn't harm the baby, but yeah, a lot of the workouts that I enjoy doing aren't really good for pregnant women, like Pilates classes. A lot of the core movements that they do in Pilates classes, you're not allowed to do because of how it impacts the baby essentially. So I'm really looking forward to getting back into that once we have this baby. But until then, I've just been doing pretty moderate workouts since getting pregnant. But yeah, week 10 through 12 is kind of when I started doing some movements, but I still felt that like extreme hunger every 2 to 3 hours. I remember I did a road trip with my girlfriends from Georgia to Florida, and we woke up at like 6 a.m. I was the only one that ate breakfast that day, and I felt like I was crazy because it was 6 a.m. and no one else was hungry. But I was like, no, I need to get something from Starbucks, even if it's just like the smallest thing. That was definitely a must throughout, the first trimester, just like constantly having something inside of my body, or else I would feel so sick. And then around this time is when I started to notice a bit of a bump. I'll kind of like insert a picture right here of me on the beach trip with my girlfriends. I was wearing a one piece and I had like this tiny little bump. I don't even know if you could say that it was a full bump, but but it was just like, I don't know, like I could tell that something was growing in there. That is kind of like when I started noticing that I had to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. So from like week 10 through 12, I wrote down using the bathroom in the middle of the night. I already have a small bladder, so I don't think that helped very much with, you know, I guess like my symptoms of using the bathroom super frequently, but it definitely was something that I still struggle with even in my second trimester, obviously with a bigger baby. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the fun things, like my aversions, which isn't really fun, but I like hearing about other people's aversions. I didn't drink coffee my entire first trimester. I have an espresso machine, I have a cold brew maker. What else? I just have like a lot of things to make coffee in my house. Didn't get used once, still sitting inside of our pantry. I haven't taken it out since we moved essentially. And then this one was a really sad one, but I could not stand the taste of avocado toast, which was so weird because that was definitely one of my go-tos before I was pregnant. That and eggs, oh my God, I can't even begin to tell you the smell of eggs cooking. Even still now, it just gets me sick to my stomach. I also hated olives and feta cheese, which I love Mediterranean food, so this was like devastating to me. So those were like my main aversions. I feel like now that I'm looking at it, avocados don't really make sense because they don't have a taste to it, but like really pungent things definitely threw me off this entire pregnancy. And then cravings were off the wall, really weird. I loved my childhood cereals. So like Fruity Pebbles was my jam. I loved Special K. Shredded wheat, I think that's what it's called. Like frosted shredded wheats. I'll put a picture right here. Love that so much. I went through this phase where I got Java chip frappuccinos. I'm not even kidding. For like 2 whole weeks, like almost every day. Something about the ice and like the way the chips would just like get in the grooves of my teeth really did it for me. I don't know how to explain it, but and then when I was going through like my spout of like having really bad nausea and just feeling really sick, I loved anything salty. So like kettle chips, I loved Takis. Oh my God, I can't even begin to tell you. But something about the lime and the spiciness, it was just so yummy. And then yeah, just like regular potato chips, don't know, they just hit so hard. Love pickles. For some reason they just hit so different when you're pregnant. I loved spicy ramen noodles. Oh my gosh, that was like all I wanted for, I want to say like 3 weeks. And then, so I'm vegetarian, but for some reason I was craving a spicy chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, but I was not about to risk getting sick to eat a spicy chicken sandwich when I was pregnant. So what I did was I went to Whole Foods and I got their like vegan spicy chicken sandwich, and it was kind of the same, but it wasn't exactly Chick-fil-A, but it was still really good. And then English muffins with butter, really basic, but so good. My unexpected symptoms, I had no idea that I was gonna be drooling as frequently as I did. My mom mentioned it. She's like, are you drooling a lot? Because that happened to me when I was pregnant with you. And I started noticing that I was drooling so randomly. Like I would be like leaning on a desk, kind of like with my arm right here, and I'd be working on my laptop doing something for work, and I'd notice like a thing of drool would just like drip down my arm, and I was like, okay, this is weird. And then headaches, I got such bad headaches, such bad migraines, and I was so nervous of taking anything. Like I didn't even want to take Tums my first trimester. I didn't take anything for my headaches. I kind of just drank some water and I went to sleep. The last unexpected symptom that I had was that I would get nosebleeds in the middle of the night specifically. It would never be in the middle of the day or anything. That was a very weird one. That happened at least 4 times. One time I didn't even wake up when it happened. I just found blood on my pillow, and Moni and I were like, that's weird. I guess I had a nosebleed in the middle of the night. For the most part, that has stopped, but my doctor said that that is very normal because your body is creating so much blood. I don't know how much blood, but like a lot of blood to help this baby grow. That is pretty much it for my like unexpected symptoms. Everything else has been such, you know, a breeze for the most part. I feel really lucky because a lot of women have such hard pregnancies, such hard first trimesters even, but for the most part, I was okay. We had 2 appointments. We did one where we confirmed the pregnancy, and then we did another one where they just checked the heartbeat. We found out that the baby is doing great. very healthy. He's growing. I say he, I don't know what the gender is, but I did do blood work, I believe, and everything was normal with that. Thank God. And yeah, so that is pretty much it for my first trimester recap. So I have some fun videos planned the next few weeks, and I will definitely try to be super consistent. I'm gonna try posting once a week, but I hope you guys have an awesome week. Hope you like this video, and definitely subscribe and like, and I will see you in my next one.